All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Julian Elliott. I work at British Gas looking after Insight, and whilst we do have quite a large database, I think there's a couple larger than ours, mainly in government hands. Well, should marketeers be free to use any data however they wish? Of course not. Let's think about that from two dimensions first. Let's think about it from the perspective of marketeers, and then we'll come back to look at it from the perspective of customers. Marketeers generally want to use as much data as they possibly can because they believe it generates relevant campaigns, more effective campaigns. And these campaigns are much more effective as they're more timely, they're more relevant, and obviously they can be more integrated across time or through channels. So, we all have got some examples of trigger-based marketing or event-based marketing that we'd like to talk about. That's great, we understand that. Being able to understand where customers have been, what they're thinking about, allows us to bring a much more relevant offer to bear on those interactions, and also allows us to power and build history and understanding of customers through our ongoing contact management and CRM systems. But there is a slight flaw in that argument, which says, is more data necessarily more insight, and does more insight therefore generate better marketing? There are quite a few examples that I can come up with, and I've just mentioned one. So last weekend I was surfing on the web, and I kept being served adverts for red high-heeled shoes. Now, for those of you who don't know me, this is not a regular thing that I wear, so I'll just clarify that. But it's simply my girlfriend had been surfing on that computer previously, and I'd probably been looking at shoes that, frankly, would cost quite a lot of money. So in that instance, actually trust and my understanding of those websites was actually eroded because they tried to be smart, but in fact acted in a dumb way. So let's bring it back and look at it from a consumer perspective. Customers do have a lot of concerns around the volume of data that's collected about them. And some of these are perceptions and misperceptions, but a lot of them, unfortunately, are based in reality. Consumers will always be able to talk to you about data loss stories that they've read about in the press, millions of records that have been lost by various high street banks because they may have left a laptop in an unlocked car or in somebody's house. They're very worried about data being exported to other parts of the world that don't have such thorough legislation as we have, and how will this data be stored and used over time. These are genuine concerns that consumers have, and they'll arise spontaneously in any consumer group when you start talking about data. To address these, as marketeers, we have the responsibility to look at three other things, which is basically convenience and consistency of the customer experience that we deliver, as well as choice. And I'll come back to the choice element. Convenience is a big thing for consumers, drives a lot of behavior. So in terms of my own world, I'm very happy that when I go onto an insurance website, obviously it would only be more than, and I type in my car registration details, it comes up and says that's an Audi, and it's this make and this model and this year registration. I see that as fantastic use of data. It's smart, it's intelligent, it's relevant, it's convenient for me. There's a very clear benefit, and that's great. Where we have to be careful is overstepping the line and using things that appear to be big brotherish, where there is no clear consumer benefit. I think we can all think of examples of those. In terms of the consistency of experience that we can deliver with better data, there is a deep human need around knowing me as an individual and recognizing me as an individual, and we can really play to that. So it's a kind of show me, you know me mantra inside marketing. And if we get that right, customers will reward us, not just with responding to those relevant offers that we can make in a timely way, but actually they'll give us extra data to allow us to be more clever. So, for example, wish lists on Amazon and other examples like that. These are great examples of a real symbiosis working between marketing and consumers in general. But I'm going to come back to choice, because ultimately choice is what it's going to be about. There will always be people who are very happy to allow use of behavioural data and not concerned about it. Equally, there will always be a lot of people who are very concerned about it. So in order for us as an industry to maintain the privilege to use these vast amounts of data, we need to really respect consumer choice and give a very, very clear mechanism where that's a very explicit covenant between ourselves and the consumers. So, marketeers, should we be free to use any data that we wish? Well, to contradict what I said 4 minutes ago, of course we should, providing that we respect those 4 C's: customer concerns, customer convenience, customer experience, and customer choice. My name is Julian Elliott. You've been a great audience. Thank you very much.